Hello my friends, what's going on? I'm back. It's been like 3 months since I've uploaded anything, but we're here with another draft analysis. Now this is for the NPL. This is not for the one I've been in, but this is for the one I've been in for the past 2 seasons now, is the National Pokeball League, and this is the National Pokemon League. So I'm going to be participating in both at the same time, essentially, so that's going to be something interesting. I initially joined this because I didn't think the NPL was going to be starting for a while, but it appears that the main NPL is going to be starting sooner than I anticipated, so these are going to be overlapping a little bit. Hopefully that I can manage that along with my school schedule. I think a bulk of it should be done, or a fair bit of it should be done over my Christmas break, but I know, we'll see what happens. I think we'll be able to manage this. But yeah, draft analysis, we're bringing the Shadow Valley Murkrows back, so that's the team we're repping for this one. I thought it'd be just a little fun thing to do, see if we can cop a ring with this franchise, since we have not done that yet, and my other 2 teams have combined to earn 6 rings, so I felt this would be a good opportunity to bring SVM back out of retirement, so that's cool. Yeah, totally. So 16-man draft with it's a tier system, so we got tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not my favorite, but it'll do essentially. There were some very broken things allowed. Naganadel, that new boy, was allowed, and it went first overall. I have already planned for my opponent. I've already planned my match for that guy, and man, that mon is scary, so I don't agree with that thing being allowed. Also, since it just got quick banned as I'm recording this on Sunday, whenever I upload this, who knows, but that thing's allowed. Magirna's allowed, since it's been allowed for a while in this NPL, which I don't agree with because it's a broken POS. Lele's allowed, which I've always been kind of on the fence about, but if Magirna is going to be allowed, then Lele is certainly allowed. And then Lando Eye is another thing that's allowed, which I've gotten to play with a little bit in the past before I decided to drop the GPC because I wasn't having any fun with it. But yeah, so those are like the super broken things that are allowed. I got the 7th pick, or yes, 7th out of 16, so I knew I wasn't going to get any of those absurdly broken mons, and also like Poupon Bound is here, which isn't that bad, and though Mega Mawile and Kang were both banned, so not really. I feel like if you're going to allow all those spooky things, then you should allow Mawile and Kang, but that's a tangent for another day. Anyways, we are drafting, so I got the 7th pick, and I decided to, as you've been seeing on screen for the last 3 minutes and 10 seconds, I got Lando T. Now, Lando T is not a mon that I've ever used in official league. I had it in my last round of March Madness, and I did not perform well with it, but I drafted a team that I did not function well with for March Madness, and Lando was really good. Like, aside from the absurdly broken mons, this is one of the best in the business, and with Z moves, which I do have on it, it's like just super duper good. So we got our Lizard Daddy. Yeah, Lando T, you know what it does. It's got great stats. It's got one of the best abilities in the game, and Intimidate. It's got an amazing typing. It can do so many different things. It can be defensive or offensive. It can set up, it can be a choice scarfer, you could run some more heat sets potentially. It's amazing with Z moves. People argue that it's the best Z move user in Draft League format, and I certainly don't disagree with them on that. Potentially, like, Naganadel is better since that thing's allowed, but you know, it's pretty darn good. You know, like, this thing is very good, so definitely a good thing to have on the squad. And it's a mon that, like, it's a glue mon, and it does like a ton of different things, so I'm definitely excited to be able to flex my creativity with this thing a bit, get to play around with it. Like, its move pool is huge. And another interesting thing is that in this Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon meta, it gets Defog, which is pretty nice because it gives you a solid defogger that can beat common Stealth Rockers since it's a ground type. So that's just a nifty little thing to add on to it, but it does so many different things, and I knew that since I had Lando, there was a few things that I knew I could kind of abuse. I could draft some mons that are really good that are weaker to fighting because this thing's a great fighting check. I could draft potentially some mons that are weaker to ground, since this thing is a good ground check and that sort of thing. Obviously, since it's League format, people can throw Hidden Power Ice onto this thing, so I knew I was going to need some solid things that could chew that, but, you know, like ice checks aren't that hard to come by in the format, so I wasn't stressing too badly about it. But yeah, this thing does a lot, and I'm excited to use it, so we'll move on to my next thing. And now, I was waffling over the second pick for a little bit. Originally I picked Victini, but then I was like, nah, I don't want to use Victini because I wasn't feeling it. There's some lower tier fire type mons that I wanted to try out, and Victini just, like, it would have been very good, but I just wasn't feeling it, and I wanted to get something spicy, so I went with Hydreigon. Now, Hydreigon's a weird round 2 pick, but I felt like it was worth it because I really have enjoyed using Hydreigon in the past in the short amount that I have used it. My one time really using it in draft was in BFA when I should have won, but another tangent. It's just a really nice mon. Like, it forms a double U-turn core with Landorus. It's a very strong attacker. It's very versatile. It gives me another ground check, which is cool. It doesn't really have much defensive synergy with Landorus, aside from, like, Lando can take U-turns and fighting moves, which Hydreigon wouldn't like too much, but so I guess that's pretty decent. But they're just two strong things that can wall break, they can sweep with a Choice Scarf, they can pivot with U-turn, they can both be defensive. Hydreigon also got the addendum of defog. That might be the right word, I'm not sure if that sounds right. It's got a great move pool, it's got a bunch of cool stuff it can do. Definitely excited to use this thing in an official league, and these are just two really good mons that you can slap on a team pretty much. Well, Landorus you can bring to pretty much 100% of matches, and you can bet that I'll be hitting right around that number for appearances. Hydreigon, another mon that can pretty much come to every single game. It's really strong, it's fast, it's bulky, it has mixed potential, it can do a lot of cool stuff. Like, I did snipe my friend Sebi on this and did a little bit of a dick move in swiping him after I knew that he wanted it, but alas, he got Magearna, so he'll be fine anyways. But yeah, this thing is cool. I definitely liked it, and it wasn't too big of a deal for me to get this round 2 because my round 3 mon, which I probably could have taken in round 2, or should have taken in round 2, came back to me, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted for my Mega. I was just going to kind of feel it out. There's definitely some things I wanted to try, knowing that Defog was so much more abundant this gen, you know, in this new meta. I really considered stuff like Mega Houndoom or Mega Charizard Y or like Mega Pinsir or something, but then I saw this mon just dropped to round 3 and I was like, you don't see this thing go to round 3 ever, so it's like, it's fate that I pick up Mega Lopunny. So we got Mega Lop, yours, and you know, this thing it's a Mega Lop. It's one of the best mons in Draft League format, one of the best Megas for sure. It's an offensive, ridiculous thing. It does a bunch of things. It's got unresisted dual stab with Scrappy. It's got high speed, high attack. It's decent, solid bulk, so it can't really be one-shotted by most Choice Scarf things, which is pretty cool. It outspeeds most things, and with two heavy wall breakers like Lando and Hydreigon, as well as the nice fighting check with Lando, and Lando's also serves as a bird check for the few birds that are really out there that pose a threat to Lopunny. Like, this is a very, very potent offensive triplet of Lop, Hydreigon, and Lando. So this thing is just ridiculous. Also, I might add, the Z rules are, you get one Z move user from the tier between tiers 1 and 3, so that'd be your OU, BL, UU mons that one of those could potentially get a Z, and then one Z user from your tier 4 to 5. So my one, like the obvious one to take was Lando, so I did that. So like, I can't put Z moves on Hydreigon, which would be also very strong, but Z Lando is like the reason Landorus is so amazing this gen. But yeah, we have Lop, and there's not much to say about Lop. It's great. Yeah, that's about it. It's a Lop, and I got it round 3, so you know, we're packing the heat this season. and we're going to be coming in hot and heavy. So next, I wanted to start getting some defensive stuff, knowing that these 3 guys are like all the offense I'll ever need usually. So I started just bringing on some bulky things, starting off with, in this round I wanted Kartana, because I was like, let's bring on some more offense, let's get more offensive, Kartana's cool, I like that thing, let's be more offensive. I got taken, which is fine, because I was able to get probably one of my favorite glue mons in Gen 7. I've used it like 3 or 4 times already, and that's Skarmory, Excalibur. You know, like, it's Skarm. I like this thing a lot. It sets up the rocks, it can spike, it can defog, it's very physically defensive, which is great. Like, some say it's passive, or like, it's not very versatile, but I don't care. It does its job, and it does it pretty well. Like, it's just a firm physical wall, and that's all you really need it to do. So, like, physical ice types, don't care about them because I have Skarm. Physical birds, I especially don't care about now because I have Skarm Landorus. Like, gives me a fairy resist, which is nice. Like, it's a good mon. I really like Skarm for what it does. And yeah, like, and I felt I needed spikes if I was going to have a team with like Mega Lopunny, Lando, and Hydreigon. So those are 3 mons that force a lot of switch-ins, and having the ability to spike up against, get spikes and get more residual damage is going to be very nice. So I've got momentum, I've got breakers, and I got my hazards, so that's pretty great. Next, I was really hoping this mon would drop to me, and fortunately it did. Just another great glue mon, and just a really good individual, and that is Reuniclus. Now, Reuniclus is super duper good. I've not had this thing in a long time, but it does so many cool things. It's good defensively, it's good offensively. It gives me Trick Room, which is nice to counter like teams that are going to try and pile on Choice Scarfers to deal with Landorus and Hydreigon and Lopunny. It's very strong, it's very bulky, it's a win condition, it's a wall, it can serve some good purposes with multiple abilities, which is something that my first 4 months don't really have. Magic Guard and Regenerator, both very good, and Overcoat if I really want to wall a Breloom or whatever. Yeah, cool mon, good move pool, I really like it. I don't think I've ever used this in a full league. I know I had it back in my first March Madness when I had this with a Clefable, and it was just great. But no Clef, but this thing is just a good standalone mon. And these first 5 mons are like, honestly, I could just bring these 5 pretty much every single week and have one of my last 6 mons as an addition to the team to fill a role. Not saying I will do that, but like, all 5 of these mons are so good that they can come every single week. So for the rest of the draft, I'm just kind of filling holes and getting more things done. So next thing I added on was Whimsicott. Now, Whimsicott, another mon that I've never really used too extensively. I've drafted it I've drafted it twice in different things. I've traded for it before, but I've never really used it for an extended period of time, so I'm definitely interested to try it out. Yeah, another really cool mon. It has a ton of utility, which I really liked. It offers Tailwind and Defog. Yeah, it gets Defog now, which is cool. It gets a lot of things that can just annoy the opponent, and it's like, it's just a solid mon. Like, its offensive stats aren't very good, but it's kind of bulky, but it's fast. It gets Prankster, which is nice. It's just kind of a good mon to fill some holes and play some roles for my team. Gives me a nice speed tier between Hydreigon and Lopunny. My speed tiers on this team aren't very traditional, but they do a job, and I'm actually pretty happy with how they look on this team if we're keeping it buck. But this thing gives me 2 important typings that I lacked, which were Grass and Fairy, which just covers some basic things. It gives me another fighting resist, which is good since my team's was looking a tiny bit fighting weak, since like Landorus could get overwhelmed, and potentially this thing as well. But yeah, we're not scared of fighting types anymore. So this thing's neat. Definitely gives me some emergency don't get swept options if we're fighting something that's very spooky, and it's a cool mon, and it does stuff and it does things, and yeah, and just having Defog's another extra nice thing to have on top of it. So yeah, that's Whims. Next, I wanted to get my water type, and knowing that I had Landorus, which is going to be instant HP Ice Bait, I loved getting Mons that are HP Ice Bait with a Mon that is an HP Grass Bait. So I knew I wanted one of the water grounds, and it was up between Seismitoad and Swampert, but I decided, with the help of Kyle, who talked me through some stuff, that Seismitoad was going to be the better option. That's what we got. So I got this because it gives me a water immunity. My team doesn't really love water, given that my resists are Hydreigon, which can get popped by an Ice Beam or whatever random coverage, and Whimsicott, which kind of the same deal, and Whimsicott's not overtly bulky, so this gives me an immunity to that, so I don't have to worry as much with like Mono Scald sweepers or whatnot. This thing gives me another Stealth Rocker, which is good, so I don't have to rely as much on Skarm and Lando to do that, so I can definitely lay up more hazards effectively. Like, Seismitoad's very cool. It's got a lot of good moves. I've used this thing in the past in, my first season with the GPC, I had this thing. And it's very good, and like, it's got a lot of defensive and offensive potential. Its stats are super balanced, which is cool. It's cheap, it's got the great typing, it's got great abilities. All three of them have a chance. Poison Touch is pretty memey, but you never know. Swift Swim if I want to pull off a surprise sweep. And yeah, Water Absorb is going to be the flagship ability for this thing, the one I'm going to use most of the time. And yeah, it's a cool one, does a lot of things for me. Definitely makes some great defensive synergy with Skarmory as well as Landorus. Skarm plus good ground type is a very solid pairing, since Skarmory doesn't like those electrics and also doesn't like fire, so Seismitoad covers both. So that's cool. So next, I knew I wanted my fire type to just kind of abuse the things I had, because I have mons like Hydreigon and mainly Hydreigon and Lando, which really punish a lot of the things that fire types don't like. I wanted to get something that could fill that role, so I got Chandelure, which is a mon I've never used before, that I've definitely wanted to use for a really long time. And one thing that looked really enticing about Chandelure is that its ability to go hand in hand with breaking the things that stuff like Lop doesn't like is uncanny. The things that Lop really doesn't want to break through are just really fat, physically defensive mons, typically that carry rocky helmets and that sort of thing, so you're thinking about your fat psychic. So now I have two mons in Shandy and Hydreigon that have very strong stabs that do a ton of damage to those bulky psychic types, so I'm not very afraid of that anymore. This definitely makes some nice offensive synergy between the offense I already have. This thing's probably not going to be coming as much, since it's a little harder to fit on teams given that it has a bad speed tier, but its special attack is just absurd. It's got decent defenses, like 60, 90, 90. It's not great, but it's not terrible. I can Choice Scarf it, I can run specs on it, I can do some other stuff. I like Chandelure. It's a Pokemon that I played around with a lot, that I've never gotten to use in the league, and I'm definitely going to be interested to see what it does. And it was pretty admirable to see the things that Sebi was able to, my man's Blue Victini, or Sebi VGC, was able to do with it last season in this NPL. I'm not sure how I'm going to distinguish the two NPLs, especially if I'm going to be uploading at the same time, but you know, it is what it is. You guys are smart, you'll figure it out. This is Season 5, the other NPL's going into Season 8. So yeah, trust, believe in yourselves, do all that sort of thing. So next, I got 3 picks left, which are going to be my pretty low tier picks. Got 1 tier 4 and 2 tier 5s left to go, which is all I can afford. So at this point, I didn't really care that much what I got on my tier 4, and I knew exactly what I wanted for my tier 5, and I was pretty confident they weren't going to get sniped. So I was looking at the things left, noticed the only big thing that I was really lacking was an electric type, and the ones available were like Vikavolt, Electros, and Magneton, all of which had merit. I considered all of them, but in the end I just went with Magneton, just because it has an interesting speed stat. I don't know, the ability to get rid of steals could potentially be useful in the case that I want to like spam Draco with Hydreigon, if that's like the key to victory. Gives me another thing that makes it tough on fairies, since fairies weren't that scared of my team beforehand. Like, nothing really hits them super effectively, even though I have lots of mons that really threaten them. And Magneton's a cool guy. 3 Gay Dads, that was a pretty great nickname. This is my second Z-move user, so I might as well just put that there. out of the low tier mons I had, this was the only one that really made sense to me. I could go Z Toad, but I didn't really feel it, since mainly Toad's going to be a defensive guy, and like offense, yeah, I felt like overall that Z Magneton was going to be the better option. 90% of the time or more, I will be using Landorus as my Z user if I do bring a Z move. Because, yeah, Magneton's probably not coming to too many games, but it's definitely another role player, which definitely has some merits. Another mon that Sebi used pretty well in his run, so shoutouts to that guy. But yeah, this guy is cool. He can do some stuff. I'll bring it around when I need it, and I won't when I don't. So yeah, last 2 months put it out to me that I have plenty of fighting resist with a nice Landorus, Skarmory, who's essentially a physical fighting resist, Reuniclus, who's a good hard counter to those guys, and like Whimsicott and Chandelure being good offensive checks to fighting. So I was like, I can afford to get a like wish passing normal type. Originally, like mine automatically reverts to or goes to Licky Licky, but talked to Kyle about it, and he was like, yo, think about Audino, because Audino might be a little better for this team since it's just better at getting momentum, like a quick wish and we're out of here, since we got Regener. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So I got Audino. Traps are gay because traps are gay. Nothing more to say about that. Wish Pass isn't that necessary on this team, but it's a cool thing to have. I have the potential for like a Regenerator core between this and Reuniclus, which is something that I've never seen before. It's got a lot of just little niche options. It gives me another Healing Wish user along with Lopunny, which can definitely be useful if I'm trying to just dominate someone with like Landorus or Hydreigon or whatever. Yeah, this is another cool role player. Probably won't see a huge amount of time, but it's definitely something that is can be useful throughout the season, so we'll see what happens with it. And lastly, I knew I needed a poison type, and I had a couple things on my mind: Quillfish, Garbodor, and this last thing that I actually got were all tier 5 poison types that could lay up T-Spikes and soak them up. So my final pick of this draft is the boy, Mariani. Marini or Mariani is cool. It's baby Pex. It's decently bulky. It has Regenerator, which is neat. It can lay up T-Spikes. It can haze. It just does everything that Toxapex does, but a little less so. But I want it for T-Spikes, and it gets a knockoff now, which is kind of cool, I guess. Like, it's just like, you know what Toxapex does, so you know what this thing does, so it's not too far to go into it. I felt like trying this thing out because I thought it was a pretty neat little option. Like, it's pretty bulky. It gives me a poisonous thing so that I'm not going to get destroyed by T-Spikes, though a lot of my team doesn't care about it. Like, 4 of the core 5 mons on my team don't get affected by T-Spikes unless I'm running Regenerator Reuniclus, and like with Lop, if I really want to punish the T-Spike, then I can just run Facade and get a free 140 base attack stab. So yeah, this thing, it will do stuff and things, and it'll come every now and then, and it'll just be the boy, because, yeah, it's a Marini. Yeah, so any last house cleaning things? This is a level 50 league on Showdown, which is whatever, I don't really care, because I've done plenty of both. This is the team. So overall, I'm just going to move this over. Yeah, so you can kind of see everything, right? Maybe. So yeah, we got our Landorus, Hydreigon, Lopunny, main offensive core, and then we've got some role player offensive guys like Chandelure and Magneton, and to an extent, pretty much everything on my team has the potential to be offensive aside from like Audino and Marini, and I don't know, Skarma even has some potential to do some damage, which I've done before, which is kind of fun. Yeah, it's a cool team. I got Spikes, I got T-Spikes, I got some Rockers, I have Defoggers so I don't get stacked unless I decide to not bring the Fog. I got big spooky guys, and that's going to be kind of the main focus of this team. Use the big spooky guys to spook my opponent and win. So we'll see how this season goes, if I can manage this plus another NPL season and school. So it'll definitely be a challenge, but I'm looking forward to it. So I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, well, I don't really care what you do. I guess other notes, I have no plans on bringing back Draft League Hotsy anytime soon, in case you were wondering. Maybe if I get more free time, then I will, but I don't know. It's a lot of effort, and yeah, we'll see. So yeah, hope y'all enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys later. Go Murkrows.